Good evening, everybody. All right, we saw a change of investor sentiment today. Look at the morning star signal that we are now seeing in the Dow. The only criteria that we didn't get yet as a full confirmation is we didn't close above the T-line. Same scenario on the NASDAQ. Bullish morning star signal, closed just below the T-line. Now, there's a little bit of doubt because look what we had before. We had this morning star signal and they took it up but immediately started selling off. So that's another clue. So everything we can add to our analysis is the fact that Apple came out with decent earnings. They took it up, and then after hours, they were trading it back down here. So what moving average is the T-line? It's the 8 exponential moving average. And just a very strong combination truism. But if you see a candlestick buy signal or close above the T-line, you can stay long until you see a candlestick sell signal and a close back below the T-line. Also, you also have the truism that the further away you move from the T-line, the higher the probabilities to come back and test it, which puts it in a little bit more confirmation that if you're up here and you see a sell signal away from the T-line, start taking profits. Okay, so the one sector that we're keeping an eye on, look at what crude oil is doing. Now, we kind of identified this wedge quite a few weeks back. And that wedge pretty much tells you that you're in a sideways mode. You're not going anywhere until, if we can identify a wedge formation, it's not going anywhere until they break out one way or the other. Now, as you can see, we've had a bullish bullish doji sandwich off the 50, and they're testing this level. They're testing this downtrending level, which means if they open this positive, that's going to make some of the oil-related stocks that much stronger. We recommended Valero today based upon the J-hook pattern setting up. Somebody in the chat room pointed out VORR today. And this is what we call observe the obvious. Observe the obvious is if you can see a technical level. Now, I have the 34 EMA on my charts because it works relatively effectively. So for those that are new, whoops, that's not a good chart to show the illustration. I'll do it on the next one. But I've got the 34. I don't know what that one is. But the most important one is the T-line, the 8 exponential moving average. And the 50 and the 200. There's the 200. And the reason we have those on our charts is because everybody in the world has those on their charts. We're not using them to see what's happening. We're using them to see what everybody else's decisions are at those levels. So this is what I call observe the obvious. If we know that's a candlestick reversal signal, a bearish engulfing signal that failed smack dab at the 200 in the overbought area, if it opens lower the next day, you can be going short. We were recommending shorting this one yesterday. And if you got into it, good trade. Now, does every trade like this work out big? No. The whole point of candlestick analysis is every time we see a signal and our confirming indicators not confirming anymore, the probabilities become dramatically better that you're heading in the right direction at the right time. So observe the obvious can work in both directions. Whoops. ACHR. Look where your inverted hammer gravestone doji occurred, and then a gap up. First of all, we know the inverted hammer bullish confirmation is a very strong signal. It's telling us that there's a 95% probability or greater that you're going to be heading higher. You add the fact that it did it right at a level everybody else was watching. That's the additional evidence that that's exactly where everybody was going to start buying. All right, I'm ready to go to live charts here. But before we do, we've got a training going on that is free to everybody on Saturday. There'll be 6 different trading professionals showing their different trading techniques. And I always kind of tell people use this because if somebody's got a good trade, and let's put it this way, if you're looking for a good trading technique, something that fits into your nature as far as the way you trade, or you don't know what that is, this is a good way to take a look at a bunch of them side by side, so you can see which ones work the best. Or if you're trading a specific trading factor or strategy, and you see some of the techniques that some of these people use, maybe you find 2 or 3 other techniques that you can add to your own trading to improve your trading. So join us Saturday. It's free. I'll start out the session at 10 a.m. and we usually go to around 2 o'clock. So with that, I've lost my charts. Oops, now I got to see if I can get them. Jim, just to make sure I've got this right, I'm going to click off real quick, click back out. Oh yeah, but we're trying to, okay, we're trying to get Jim so that his recording is fitting right. So anytime we see a whole sector starting in the same direction, that's a good indication that money is coming back into that sector. Chevron. So that's just additional confirmation. Let's see why I'm here. And it looks like the Dow is trading lower after hours. And that's pretty much because, I'm going to skip around here, Amazon. If I remember correctly, oh, Amazon was way down here. See if I can see it after hours. Oh, it whipped, or it's not too bad, but they sold it off hard. So you can see Amazon still trading lower, and I think I can too, whoops. All right, and you can see what happened to Apple. Apple actually closed up above the T-line. Let's see if I can do this. So that's what Apple looked like before they announced their earnings. Then this is what's happened after after the earnings. All right, so I guess kind of the warning factor is this little indication right here that we didn't close above the T-line. We might be doing this: wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and we're still in a downtrend until you see a bullish signal and a close above the T-line. which means a lot of these stocks that didn't quite close, they were trying to produce reversal signals like Twilio, except I'm guessing Twilio is trading lower after hours. Now we'll do this again. Yeah, so it traded lower after hours when it traded more of a hammer signal during the hours. So this is why I always say until they close above the T line. That little piece of information right there is critical, because what are we assuming if you're trading below the T line? That bearish sentiment is still in control, even though you've had a positive trading day. So I closed out quite a few of the short positions today. Apple did close above the T line. Oh, let's see. No, after hours, it did close above the T line. Would be nice to have a hotkey you could do to quickly toggle between session and after hours. Well, that's exactly what this chart is. This is Apple on the close, regular hours. This is after hours. This is where it closed after their earnings. How significant is the after hours trading? Relatively significant on a big stock like Apple. However, the more significant aspect is, where is it going to open? All right, so yes, yeah, you don't want to be trading after or over the earnings if that's your nature. Now, the other day I was kicking myself, which I do quite often, because I was short Spotify. But Spotify looked like it was closing or showing some basing. Didn't know which way it was going to go. Then they announced and they did this. So can you catch them all the time? Definitely not. Which platforms is the T-line available? All of them. You put the T-line on just like you would the 50-day simple moving average. You're putting on the 8 exponential moving average. So if you've got a charting service where you can put in different indicators, they'll show you how to. You just click on moving averages, you do the 8 and then exponential and then put it in. If a buy signal doesn't confirm, how long does it remain relevant to keep watching? You give it a couple days, or let me see if I can think of some. I usually, if I recommend something and it doesn't execute the next day, the reason you were looking at it to execute in the first place is because everything was setting up. It had a buy or a sell signal, and so the next day you wanted to see it confirm. Well, if it opened lower and didn't trade above where it closed the previous day, the day of the signal, you still watch it because you did have a buy signal. So if it doesn't confirm in the next day or two after a buy signal, then I'll kind of disregard it. Seems like all these tech stocks will go to red. That could be. But that's the whole point of seeing the tech stocks being sold off, because I thought, if I heard the earnings right on Apple, that they were pretty good, but apparently not good enough in these market conditions. So that's why you always kind of analyze not what you think the earnings should be or what everybody else thinks the earnings should be. You watch to see what everybody's decisions are based upon those earnings. The little green line is the 3T line, which works in conjunction with the T line. So if you happen to see some buying, and it looks like a buy signal, but the 3T line doesn't confirm, let's put it this way. If the first criteria is the signal confirming, and then the 3T line acts like a little additional confirmation. So things like NVIDIA, again, did a morning star signal. I guess it'd be a lot easier if we just stuck with these charts. But you can see what happened after hours. Closed up here during the hours, then after hours, you can see they were selling it back off again. Now, is that significant? Yeah, that's probably significant in the sense that even though they took it up strong, or a lot of these stocks they took up strong today, we still needed to see that final criteria, which is where did it close? If they can't get up above the T line, assume your downtrend is still in progress. So we made good money shorting this one. Look at your bearish kicker type signal. Closed below the T line. This went from 30 down to 4. And then you can see what was happening down here. I think you can see what's happening down here. It pretty much flattened out in the oversold area. So what was that telling you about your potential returns? Probably you got most of your potential returns, and when it started flattening out and doing dojis, that would have been a good indication to say, all right, we got all our money, let's go on to something else. Now today earlier, this was trading positive. So now what do you have? You've got a whole series of dojis in the oversold area and bullish confirmation. What's your risk reward on this one? Well, it just came from 30. Darn, I keep doing this wrong. Just came from 30 down to 4. If they're ready to bounce it, where could they possibly be bouncing it? They could be bouncing it, if they get up through the T line, at least back up to the 200. And is that significant? Yeah, that looks almost like a 40% upside potential. So this is exactly what we gain from knowing what the nature of each signal is. That if you're in a series of dojis, remember, if one doji means indecision, a series of dojis means greater indecision. Now something's happening where they're deciding to go long again. Merck. Here's your morning star type signal. And what type of pattern can we see setting up? Those look more like a kind of a J-hook pattern. So this kind of implies they're going to have more upside. And that's WVL. I don't know if there's more chart to this, but you can see it's a fry pan bottom that came up through the, well, maybe it isn't a very long one. They only got a 34 EMA out there. Another sector that's picking up a little bit of steam is the shipping stocks. Look at your Morningstar signal, your best friend gap up, off the 50, through the T-line, and did an indecisive trading day today. So what does that tell you as far as an alert to be ready for a strong price move? Well, if they open this positive, now you got a Morningstar signal followed by a doji sandwich, which is now considered a McMuffin. Oops, I didn't scroll down fast enough. Yeah, so the guidance wasn't great on Apple. Not necessarily, Ron. After hours trading, if I don't know how many shares Apple traded today, but let's say they traded 7 million. Well, after hours, they may have traded 40,000. Because obviously the big institutions aren't going to be trading after hours because there's no volume there. So it's just, yeah, the pre-market also impacts where things are going to open. So if we wake up tomorrow and it shows that the Dow futures are going to be down 140 points, what can we assume about the T-line and the Morningstar signal? It didn't confirm. So you probably don't want to be going aggressively after long positions. On the other hand, 130 million shares, all right. So after hours, there may be 50,000 shares traded, which is not indicative of what everybody is doing. Okay. So there's another J-hook pattern. So this is what kind of gives you a little extra cushion or extra safety net. If you can see the pattern and you can see where the pattern is forming off of moving averages, I still don't know what this one is. What is that? That is the 21. I don't want the 21. I don't even know how it got on there. All right. But if we know what should, so they traded 18 million after hours. All right, that's still pretty hefty. But normally if a stock's trading 1.2 million shares during the day and they have some sort of announcement that moves it after hours, it may only be 20 or 30,000 shares after hours, which is not indicative. The point where after hours trading level is important is approximately 7 minutes before the market opens. Well, it acted pretty well. On Chevron, and it's a bullish, kind of a bullish signal. So if I was long, yeah, I would probably have kept this. Is there a set of parameters you rely on? Brian, yes. The set of parameters is the formulas for the individual candlestick signals themselves. Now, I don't have to look for individual signals. When I do my scanning, this new, let's see if I can flip to it real quick. Over here is my trading universe, I think. And now it's automatic, where I just do this, and this shows the stocks that had the biggest percent price moves today. I think I've got RM. So I can look at this chart, and because I know the signals, I can see that's a best friend signal gap up, so I'm going to flag that. Here's a Morningstar signal that broke out through this level. So as I go down this list, I can click on each one that I like and come back and look at it. So there's DWAC. So that's about it. Now, if you're looking for specific signals or patterns, you can put the formula in, and it's going to always be there. It's going to be one of your scans. And it might be dojis in the oversold condition, which means you put in the formula for a doji, and you put in stocks that are trading below 20 on the stochastics. So that what you're looking for is a doji in the oversold area. Now, the next day, you're looking for the ones that had the biggest percent price move, which it'll do automatically. Do you sell during intraday, or do you always wait? I usually wait to the end of the day. Now, today, near the end of the day, we started seeing too many stocks that were starting to trade up toward the top end of their range in the oversold area, and the market was up strong. So I started taking profits on puts. Now, would I come back into this one? Probably not. There's probably a lot better shorts out there if this market turns around and heads lower. Okay, I was doing a doji search initially, but wanted your feedback. All right. And so you could put in other signals. Now, if I'm doing an individual candlestick signal, I'll usually look for the kicker signals because I know they're going to produce the highest percentage or highest probabilities of a strong reversal. Okay, let's see what else we got. So there's your gap up. Kicker type signal. Now the reason I call this a kicker type signal is a true kicker signal shouldn't have a tail to the downside. All you need is stochastics under 20 yesterday and cross above the T-line today. Well, that's probably going to give me a lot of buy signals. Facebook. No, that's not what you would call a kicker signal. That's what you call a best friend. Best friend is a doji gap up. Let's see. Now, Mattel had a kicker signal, probably based upon its earnings. You had a big candle, and then they gapped it up and had a big candle. That's a kicker signal. Now, the difference between a best friend signal and a kicker signal is a best friend signal is usually a doji followed by a gap up. The reason we call that your best friend is because not only are the probabilities that you're going to be heading in a bullish direction, but the magnitude of that move is going to be fairly strong, number one. Or number two, the direction and then the magnitude. Well, can't even think what the third, that's just great. Shouldn't be drinking this heavily during one of these sessions. Can you remember what I was going to say? So there's your little inverted hammer. This is the observe the obvious type trade. Look where all your buy signals are started. Bullish engulfing, inverted hammer, bullish confirmation. What makes this a good trade on positive trading tomorrow? It's confirming this after coming up through the T-line, and it's telling you this downtrend is not acting as a resistance anymore. So the more pieces of evidence we can put into our visual analysis, oh, for crying out loud. Thought I could zip right into that one and it won't come up over here. Oh, had something better on Zyme. Maybe after hours it was trading up positive. AVT, that's your best friend signal. There's your J-hook, best friend gap up. The implication is there's going to be a lot more upside. Oh, I know what the third one was. That not only do you have the direction and the magnitude, but the frequency of a best friend signal is pretty hefty. So it's not like you're looking for a best friend signal that's going to occur every 5 days, 7 days, 12 days. They're going to occur. You're going to find some of these almost every single day. So the process at that point is, if I see this, what should I be learning as an investor? What is the usual result? I already know that the usual result on this one will probably be a 45-degree from here. Kristen, yes, if it's closed up here, a lot of people say, well, if we see it closing up here, should we buy here? The answer to that is, why not get a little bit more confirmation and see it open positive and start trading positive? I'd rather be a few pennies or a few 10 cents late, but improve my probabilities of being in the right trade. Let's see, DWAC, AVAC. There's another Morningstar signal on TMDX. So this is what gives you that safety net. If this opens positive, you basically have a support level that everybody was watching and buying, closing at the T-line, opening positive, improving our probabilities. What do we expect from here? It to move up. And where can we visually see we want to be back out of this trade? Well, if this was the candle that told us that there's been a reversal, we probably wouldn't want to see it close back below the 50. If it did that, that told us that it didn't break out. And why do we use that analysis? Because we've got to assume that no matter how great our signals are or our trading strategy, not every trade's going to work. So it's just as important to be identifying when it's time to get into a good trade, but also knowing when it's time to be out of a trade that didn't work. That old adage, cut your losses quickly and let your profits run, and nobody ever tells you how to do it. It's just a very simple process with candlestick analysis. But if I was buying on positive trading tomorrow, I wouldn't want to see it close back down here because that would tell me my pattern of my signal didn't work. The Zyme got a buyout offer, okay. And pin interest. So that's kind of your gap up. Not quite your best friend, but the same implication. It would have been a much stronger trade had they not pulled all the way back down here. But the fact that they did come down here and then took it back up showed you they got all the sellers out. More than likely, this is one is heading higher. Again, coming off your doji type day, gapping up in the oversold area. Noodles, now that's a better best friend. That's a best friend, what is it, BFF or whatever. Doji gap up with no tail to the downside, up through the T-line, up through this resistance level. Where do you think your next target is likely to be? Probably up here at the 50-day moving average. So if you were thinking about buying this, even though you saw this big tail to the upside, what did that big tail to the upside tell us? There was profit taking after a buy signal. simple logic says if this opens positive and starts trading positive, the profit taking's over. The buy signal is still in effect. So when you see a buy signal occur, look at your Morningstar signal with your best friend, gap up, and where did they do it? Right off the 200. That's additional confirmation that that's where everybody decided they were starting to buy. We weren't watching it because we were waiting to see what it was, make our decision at the 50. We were waiting to see what everybody else's decisions are, and that's where the signal creation helps us see immediately what everybody's doing at levels everybody else is watching. Kind of the same scenario on GLOP. Doji gap up off the 50 and the 200 through this level. That's another one that can be bought. Now, if we're not real positive that the markets have reversed because of the T-line failure or the T-line non-confirmation today, let's say they open lower, we still want to have some good short setups. So this is the proverbial slow curve to the downside. Now they've gapped it down. What's that tell us? There's strong sellers coming into this. More than likely, you're going to see more of a downtrend. That was the same reason we went short on Para. Look at your bearish kicker gap down. So the reason you want to have this, or I try to illustrate this, is when something gaps down big, what's most investors' inclination? Boy, I don't want to be chasing that. You're now not chasing it. Now you're looking for the confirmation of what you expect based upon what human nature normally does. So that's made for a very good short from that point. Oh, that just makes you want to kick your grandmother. All right, so things like this tell you there's been a big change of investor sentiment, which was obvious with that bearish signal right there at the 200. CSV, kind of the same scenario. Look at your evening star signal, then a gap down through the 50. Just a very simple trend analysis. As long as you can't close above the T-line, the prospects of a downtrend are that much greater, or not much greater, exceedingly great, that you're still heading in the a bearish direction. And when you start seeing that occur all in one sector, AutoZone, best friend, if this opens lower, where do you think your next target is? Down here at the 200. O'Reilly's, same scenario. They're coming out of these with great enthusiasm. Implies there's going to be more downside. Advanced Auto. Barry's best friend didn't support at the T-line. Probably want to be watching these to see which one is to go short tomorrow. TBLT. This is the important piece of information right there. That doji gap down implies there's still going to be a lot of selling afterwards. And I'm showing hood. A lot of people ask, well, should we be shorting or going long the story stocks? I usually try to stay away from the story stocks as far as trying to short it when it's in the oversold area, but you can see what's happened to them. They reached a level a while back on after the new offering where they hit 80, and now they're trading at 9. The problem, though, is anytime you're in a story stock, one little announcement could pop it real big. So I usually try to stay away from going. Let's see, I think that's about all I got tonight. I did this one. Wave 3. Wave 1, Wave 2, Wave 3. A story stock is something like QuantumScape that has a battery that could change the whole industry, but it's not developed yet. Or something like Mullen. They're making an electric car, but it's not, they don't have earnings coming in. They're still in the process of developing it. So they're story stocks. They're things that everybody wants to get into because that sector or that specific stock has something that would be a great, move that stock greatly if it ever comes to fruition. Yes, a lot of news hype. When you're option buying these, how far out do you go at times? 2 weeks? I usually am trading about two to 3 weeks out in the future. Well, Tesla has something behind it. I mean, they have earnings, and they are selling stock, or they are selling cars. Let's see. But right now, as you can see, this is a very strong sell when they have that bearish belt hold type signal, and especially when they can't close it above the T line. What was the other one that was like that? Darn. I just had that position that had that. Oh. Oh, no, that wasn't it. Darn. Oh, this, that was kind of it. But I closed this one out because look where it, look what it was doing today. Doesn't mean it's not going to work. It's just being in options, it's kind of killing your time factor. Oh, now I've lost everything. This is just a fine howdy do. There we go. Yeah, hold on to your individual ones until I tell Jim to do the double line. Yeah, Rivian is kind of a story stock also. Things that don't have product that's already moving. But again, this is another, observe the obvious. Which direction was this stock moving? A downward direction. So if this is your buy signal, let's see what it was. Kind of a hammer gap up. Where do you think your next target was? The 50. Now this is the great advantage that helped me out tremendously learning candlestick analysis is if I can see a sell signal occurring right at a level that everybody else is watching in the overbought condition, I can pretty much assume that they're not going through the 50. That's where they're starting to take their profits. That's where I want to be. I want to start taking profits. Oh, is that what your FVIV? Yes, that is a bearish belt hold. That's not a good signal. However, it looks like the volume on this one isn't very big, is it? Yep, the lithium stocks, but the lithium stocks may have something to them now. Whoops. This one I would keep an eye on. If I'm not mistaken, I might be talking way out of line here. This one is a lithium mining company in the U.S. That, because it's here, has a little bit of yeah, great story. Yeah, the lithium batteries have some very great prospects to them, especially the solid state lithium battery. And I don't want to get off track on this, but that's why we're keeping an eye on QuantumScape, because if they've been working 10 years on their lithium battery, they're getting closer, and they're not hiding their results, which is beneficial, but they're trying to get it to where I think right now the lithium batteries that are in Teslas, they can give you 400 or 500 miles on a charge. The battery that QuantumScape is trying to develop will give you over, I think they said, 1,000 miles on a charge. Plus, like any battery, if you keep recharging it, it starts losing its effectiveness. And I forgot what the effectiveness was on a Tesla battery, like 600,000, whereas the QuantumScape solid state battery would have well over 1,000,000 miles of Maria, yeah, are you on a PC or on your phone? Yeah, but that's they're also coming up with charges now that in 15 minutes you can get, I forget how much of a percentage charge. And so that's the other element that they're working on, is the speed that you can charge a battery. SSL is an oil company, all right. MP is, well, let's see, SSL. I thought they had something to do with how long do these batteries last. As I say, the battery for a Tesla is like 600,000 miles, and then the solid state batteries from QuantumScape is over 1,000,000. So anyway, so that we're getting off track. There's great advancements coming along in the lithium batteries. Now, obviously, battery recharging is advancing greatly. I think of that every morning as I brush my teeth with my electric toothbrush that I plug in for one night and then unplug it because I need that plug and it will stay charged for 2 months after that. Robert, yeah, we're still holding some, not as much as we did before on QuantumScape. The reason we don't want to be out of it altogether, even though it was in a downtrend, is that the fact that if they come up with an announcement that they're getting closer or much closer to being able to go into production, that stock could be $150 very quickly. So that's what a story stock has. Yeah, that's the other problem right now, is finding the lithium to produce these batteries. So everything has its plus and minus. Okay, so I'm just kind of babbling here. Are there any general questions on candlesticks? On Para, right about when it gapped down, we started shorting right in here. So here's a very, and this is just, here's a very good entry strategy. If you see this chart, make this bigger, a bearish kicker signal, what do we want to see for confirmation the next day? They're trading lower. Well, you can see what happened the next day. They traded it up here and then started trading off. So where is a high probability entry for a short trade? When it comes back through this level after opening positive, that tells you the quick profit taking on the shorts are out, and they're still selling it from there. Is QuantumScape on a daily a MSR? I wouldn't know an MSR if I fell over it. MSR. Whoops, I typed in MSR. That's goofy. It's actually a doji harami followed by a hammer signal. Right about the same level it bottomed out before. If I was buying this long term, I'd just give it a couple of days and see if they could close it above the T-line. Morning star. Now, that's not quite a morning star. That's more of a doji hammer. This is more of a doji or a morning star. Big down candle, a day of indecision, and another big bullish candle that closes more than halfway up that candle. Okay, any general questions on candlesticks? Right now, the important thing tomorrow is when we wake up, we want to see what the pre-market futures are showing us. Right now, they're down slightly. Doesn't really mean anything. It's about 7 minutes before the market opens. If it's up here, it tells us we're in an uptrend. If it's down here, it's telling us that was just a pop in the or an uptrending move in a downtrend. That closes about halfway down the last candle. No, a morning star signal is a big down candle, a day of indecision. The third candle has to close more than halfway up that big down candle. Yes, there is going to be a lot of buy signals today. However, you still need to see confirmation. There's going to be a lot of stocks that had bullish candles going into the close may be opening much lower. So you still have to see how things are opening tomorrow. Now, I'm not quite convinced that this downtrend is over. That's only because if we've got problems with inflation and they're going to have to raise interest rates, that's a lot of overhang on this market. But more importantly is investor sentiment. If Apple is closed or opening down here tomorrow after trading up, that tells you no matter what type of news is coming out, investor sentiment isn't changing. So we're just seeing some pops to the upside and then continuation of the downside. Now, after saying that, the first thing everybody should do is disregard everything I just said, because I have no more idea than the man on the moon of what they're going to be doing tomorrow. But I'll watch to see what they're doing. It tells me what the probabilities are that we're still in a downtrend or they've reversed this market. Okay, I guess with that, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. Do you take your profits quicker in a bearish market? Not necessarily. I still let the charts tell me what to do. Bah. What's Carvana? Now, I did buy puts on Carvana because of that big down day, but I covered them right here. The next day when they gapped down and closed down here, I should have repurchased those puts, but I didn't because I moved on to something else. But that was evidence that they weren't reversing, they were still in a downtrend, and so that would have been good profits in that trade. Fortunately, the other trades I put on were also good profits. Microsoft, did it close up here? I think it held up pretty well today. Yes. So it held up. So this is a strong signal because that's your bullish flutter kicker signal. Oh, darn. I was supposed to report not only not only are we doing a session this Saturday, but a lot of people have been inquiring about the private training sessions. We've got it scheduled right now for May 20th through 23rd. You fly in on, or you come in to Pittsburgh on Friday night. Then we do all day Saturday, Sunday, and half of Monday. And it's solid days, so I call them brain-fried, butt-sore trainings. And it's the type of thing where we don't do the training and then I disappear. You're stuck with me for the whole weekend. We go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. But during that time, that gives people the opportunity that if they're having problems or they're not doing something right in their own trading, we've got a lot of time to discuss it and figure out how to resolve those. And if you do have problems, I usually inquire from everybody before they get here, what are the things that you really need to concentrate on? And some people say, well, I can identify when to get in, but I can't identify when to get out, or I get in too late. So if I know those things, then I can kind of build those into the 2.5 days of training. But the bottom line to all this is all the little nuances that you don't get when we just go through the charts quick like this, when they're fully described and you go through the analysis of candlestick charts from the signals to the patterns to the when to get in, where to set stop losses, all the things applied to candlestick analysis. When you see it all in a chronological order, you're not now just learning the mechanical process, but you're also getting your mental process built around what to do based upon the candlestick charts, not what your emotions are telling you. So that's the big aspect that most people get out of this, where now they can go on and trade as an income or a living with much more confidence than just trying to still piece why some things aren't working as well as they should. Whoops. These private training sessions are $4,900 for the weekend. Now that includes the 2 days of training. It also includes a year free to the website. But if you're already a lifetime member, that means we just give you credit to any of the trainings after that you haven't paid for that $997. And anything that is on our website as far as training, and I think there's about $5,000 worth of training information, that's all free to you after that. That if you come and you say, oh, I want to see more of the 12 major signals, you just email Abe and say, I was at the private training, can you send me the 12 major signals training, or can you send me the top ranked signals and patterns, whatever you want is now free as far as our inventory. What did I just do? That's Fastenal. Did I say anything on Fastenal? Fastenal, you could be buying, coming off the inverted hammer. So if it trades positive, it's breaking this downtrend. So back to the private training. Even though that sounds fairly expensive, it's the same price as when I started doing this, probably 15 years ago. And it's the type of thing where you kind of solidify your thinking process to the point that some of the people that have done the trainings have gone off. Rick Sadler, for example, was one of my first private training sessions, who now runs Hit and Run Candlestick website. So you get a lot of solid, confirmation in your own mind of how to trade without elements that kill most people, like their emotional decision making. And you've got a good teacher for that, because being the worst investor in the world before candlesticks came along, the more I learned about candlesticks, the more I would concentrate on what to do to keep my emotions out of my trading. And that's what has helped me immensely. HUSA, nothing there yet. Still needs to get up above the T-line. Edit. Nothing there. If you're short, stay short. But if it opens positive tomorrow, figure they're at least bouncing it up back up to the T-line. That's a nice J-hook pattern on West Fraser Timber. That's a good looking chart, a bobble breakout. Putting a star next to that one. Oops, you were ahead of me, Carrie. Yes, a bobble breakout. And Starbulk. Nothing great on that chart yet. If you're buying this one, or you were thinking of buying this one, you buy it if it comes back up through today's open. That would be confirming your best friend signal. And Zim, I thought Zim had moved after hours. Let me take a quick gander here. Well, maybe not. So Zim, if this opens positive tomorrow, you basically have a, well, Shazam. A bullish doji sandwich. SIMO, you can buy this one on positive trading, J-hook pattern. DWAC, starting to show some strength. If you buy this one on positive trading, it's because you got a mini scoop, not a signal here, but if it opens positive, breaking out through this handle, now you've got what could be considered a scoop pattern. CALX, nothing wildly exciting there. Got a piercing signal. If you like it, you could be buying it. You just have to watch to see what happens once it gets to the 50. Clack, morning star signal with an inverted hammer. However, you're still in this downtrend. So if you buy, you have to watch to see what it does at the 50. Oracle, nothing yet. If I was short, I may have covered the short today, but I wouldn't be going long until it gets up above the T line. SARK, this one you get ready to take profits. You can see your big shooting star doji at the same level it topped out before. If this opens lower tomorrow, start taking profits. Is this not shallow enough to call? You could call it a fry pan bottom, yes. But you're in the overbought area and you get a sell signal. What do you want to see at the breakout level? A strong breakout. So if this opens lower tomorrow and you were long, close it out. If it does gap up and starts trading positive, then you can start going after it. UVXY. I say because anytime you see them gap down to the previous day's low or open, that's not a good sign. If this opened lower tomorrow, I'd close it out. PayPal did a morning star type signal. Then an inverted hammer. This one you could be buying with your expectation you're heading for the 50. LRCX, another one where your best friend signal. Oh, Cassie, are you in here? Cindy Lou, are you in here? I'll give you all calls tomorrow. This was LRCX, another one you could be buying. Roku, I think, was backing off after the close. If you were short, if it opens positive and trades positive, close it out. It's coming up to test the T line, and then watch to see what it does at the T line. Matador, if you're short, stay short. Myra, if you're short, stay short, but observe that you've done a inverted hammer, a doji. I would use today's high as a stop if I was short. And Labu, a doji hammer. Nothing confirmed yet. If it opens positive tomorrow, I'm guessing they're going to bounce it back up to the T line. Nothing on this one. Steel Dynamics. Look at your long-legged doji. Where did we just see that one? On the fry pan bottom one. Nucor. Big shooting star. Right now you stay short and use the T-line as your stop. It shouldn't come back up through there if you're short. Best friend on ANET. You could be buying this one, target 50-day moving average. Blade, you could get ready to buy this one on positive trading tomorrow. Is this the right symbol? Oh, Merc, all right. J-hook pattern. This is kind of your classic pattern, your fry pan bottom. Notice what started your uptrend. There's your inverted hammer, bullish confirmation. Notice where the profit taking started. Your shooting star, doji, selling. CNX, you could buy this one on positive trading, doing a doji sandwich breakout. We did Microsoft, bullish flutter kicker. It's not a great one to trade because of the lack of magnitude of return, but it's a good one to do option or option spreads on. Netflix, still nothing there. Even though it traded positive today, if I was short, I'd stay short. If it traded positive because the market was trading positive, I'd cover the short with the expectation they're bouncing it back up right now to the T-line. JP Morgan, another one that has to open lower to stay short. Otherwise, they're bouncing it. Freeport, nothing there to get your teeth into. But you do have a doji, which makes your analysis pretty simple, the doji rule. If they open this positive tomorrow, you cover your short position. If it opens lower, you stay short. Las Vegas Sands. That one, same scenario. If it opens positive tomorrow, confirming your Morningstar signal above the T-line, close out the short position. But I probably wouldn't be going long just yet. That's kind of a sideways chart pattern. The Qs, use the T-line. If it comes up through the T-line, they've reversed the market. Caterpillar, that's a toughie. That's a toughie to the point where if I was short, it has to open lower, but that's about all I'd be doing on this one. That might be the one I was looking for. All right, SLI. Nothing there yet. Probably wouldn't be long or short. XLP. J-hook type pattern. Morningstar signal, inverted hammer doji. You could be buying that one on strength. And, that one did not come up. Deer, nothing yet. Now, if I was short, I'd have a stop just above today's high, which would have been the high of the last 3 days. That would have told you they've based and started heading back up, but I wouldn't be a buyer. ARPL. CVE. There's another J-hook pattern in the oil producers. RCMT, there's your best friend. Look for a 45-degree off of here. BBAI. Now, why would that not come up? I know that's a good symbol. doesn't look like anything exciting just yet. Tesla, you could short this one on weakness, yes. Now, if it opens positive, looks like it's trying to base in here. May 20th is a Friday. You'd fly in or you drive in to Pittsburgh area on the Friday night. We all have dinner together, and then we start Saturday morning. We all have breakfast together, and then usually we start at 9 or 9:30, and usually go to 4 or 5 in the afternoon, take an hour break, and then we all go to dinner. It's $4,900 for the weekend. Again, you got a year free after that, and you get all the information that you want on the website for free. John, we try to limit it to 5 at most, which sometimes means 4, sometimes means 6, and usually 6 is a couple or somebody brings their son or daughter. But the important aspect of these private training sessions is if you're having a problem and you do something online and you say, well, I don't understand how to do this or this, maybe you get a minute of explanation. Whereas at these sessions, if you're having a problem, we know about it, or I know about it before we start, so it's built into the whole training, and we concentrate, or I accent that situation as we go through the whole 2 day of training. John, that's the one thing I can say about these training sessions is it has fixed a lot of people. So there's a good number of people, I say a good number, there's probably a dozen people in the chat rooms each day that, whether it's in the options room or the regular room, that have done these courses. And as I say, I've had at least 3 people in the past become so good at it they've started their own websites for training people. Now their training method may be a little different, but at least their background was the training, or was the candlestick training. WFG, you could buy the calls on this one, yes. So if this is a J-hook pattern, got to expect that to be in wave 1, wave 3, back up here to test these levels. BX, nothing yet, but that is your telltale signal, the big bearish engulfing. I would just stay short until you see a close above the T line. And nothing real exciting on this one. Not really a kicker signal because they traded lower. Yeah, nothing real great on that one. Gold, still trading lower. The actual gold, whoops, what did I just do? GCAM2. And trading up a little after hours, but there's nothing great on that that trend analysis. LPLA. This one you get ready to cover if you're short if it opens positive tomorrow. And Clove, nothing. Just nothing there. And Sen, nothing there either, not until you see a buy signal. Tesla hammer near the 200. Yeah, but you still need to see confirmation. CVE, you said another oil producer, but is a buyer. You could be buying this one. Now notice what happens, and this is, I say notice, this is one of these is kind of the little nuances that you get when you get a full 2-day session. You learn things like this. There's your trajectory. There's your J-hook. There's your new trajectory. You like this. How about stay? How about stay? Where do we stay? We stay right there at the hotel. The hotel is about 5 minutes from me. It's a nice place. Good breakfasts. AJ, we usually do this during August, but we were getting enough people asking about it. We'll probably do another one in August. If not in August, maybe closer to November. Yeah, Raymond, yep. It's always good having you there. If you need more information, just email me, steve@candlestickforum.com. Send me your phone number, and we'll just get on the phone, and then we can go through all the details. Nail, going to be bought? Yeah, but there's nothing exciting on that one just yet. SGML, nothing there. I wouldn't be long or short. EZPW, another J-hook pattern. Wouldn't be afraid to buy on positive trading, breaking out through this level. Oh, is that a symbol? I was just thought you were agreeing with me. No, maybe you were agreeing with me, Ada. UCO, crude oil, still in this wedge formation. What candle setup would be best to buy near close to limit your holding time? I don't see one on here, but there are a lot of times where if I see a doji sandwich setting up and it's right at a breakout level, and the doji sandwich doji day is right on the breakout level, I might buy a half a position knowing that if it opens positive the next day I'm buying the other half, but my initial half is already making money. The hotel fee is separate, but it's not very expensive here in Pittsburgh. They're not, and I think they give us a discount. So it's not anything major. Nicola, you just stay short. It looks like you're in a bearish J-hook pattern setup. And DWAC, that one I'd be more apt to buy on positive trading tomorrow. Okay. All right, so we're in a market condition that requires watching to see what's happening at the T-line level. AJ, I rented that house for 8 years in a row. They had it kind of reserved for us in the first 2 weekends or first 2 weeks of August every year. But then the owners had the audacity to renovate the house and move in it themselves. And they did that right at the when COVID was starting, and there was absolutely no other places up on the lake to rent because they were all full. But what we discovered is that the ambience of the lake actually kind of deterred the training sessions, because we would spend more time lollygagging out on the deck overlooking the lake, or instead of taking an hour lunch, the hour lunches turned into an hour, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, because we'd be eating at a winery looking over the lake. Now, we still eat good, but everybody can concentrate more on the learning process versus goofing around overlooking the lake. The market is trying to come back. We won't know that until tomorrow. We're still, even though it's up a little bit, we're still below the T line. So you might, for those that are on the fence, you might ask around. And I won't give people's names for their, but if you ask out in the chat room during the day, say who's taking the private training and is it worthwhile, at least that way somebody can get back to you. And I don't push this on anybody. I just know it works because it's been working for 8 years. The people that have been taking the training kind of advance their trading skills quite a bit. And I know that just because of the feedback I get. And another thing is that people that have done the training even 10 years ago, we still stay in touch over the phone quite a bit, just because we know each other now, and we know what everybody's face looks like. And anyways, okay, tomorrow is Friday. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some. Yeah, SP, I've been trying to figure out how to do one out on the West Coast. So the retakes are not on the private training, are not free. Yeah, mainly because it's more of a service that takes a lot of work to get these all set up. And so that's the only part that if you take it once, it's not free the second time. Is there a write-up of all the combined candlestick strategies one should look at for each trade? I know there is a write-up for each candlestick and what it means. They're not a write-up, but there are training videos for the signals and the patterns and the high-ranked or top-ranked signals and patterns, which are the combinations of signals, like the best friend signal or your bullish flutter kicker signal, your doji sandwich, belt holds. So they're all out there. They're just not, they're in different training formats. All right, everybody. Whoa, I kept you way past your bedtime. The training is here in Pittsburgh, actually just north of Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's a very easy airport to get in and out of. And the traffic's not bad here in Pittsburgh at all. So Magic, you are good looking. The training for the candlestick strategies you just mentioned. I don't know what you're asking. Where is the training? Oh, they're on the website. Go to products and services. All right, everybody. We'll see you bright and early in the morning. We'll see you then.